I took 0-9 Georgia Southern plus 33.5. Locked on Sunbelt.
You are Locked on Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked on Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Isn't that a quinky dink? Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. All right. Obviously, we're not going to go into detail about the bet per se, a little bit, but I did watch, so I will say that. We'll talk Ragin Cajuns and Jack State. We'll preview the New Orleans Bowl. I'll be there on Saturday. And Southern Miss announces a new defensive coordinator. All right, so just looking after I got a nice new haircut, if we should gamble on anything. And again, my general theory is you bet on good teams to play good. You bet on bad teams to play bad. And when the opposite happens, that's gambling. And so let's see, Tennessee's playing Georgia Southern. I know Georgia Southern's no good. Tennessee's pretty good. Let's see if it's, 15, 20 points. We'll put a little bit on the Vols. Well, it's 34.5. Anybody got guts? I tweeted out. Anybody got any guts to take Georgia Southern plus 34.5? Well, then you look at it, and then, Tennessee doesn't really blow anybody out. And Georgia Southern, despite not winning a basketball game, doesn't get blown out. They got two 20-point losses. But you also know in one of these games, in games like this, that the starters are going to come out, right? Thing was, it was like a 28-point game at half. But then I tuned in, and Georgia Southern wouldn't go away. And that's really why I wanted to watch because, and Charlie Henry is starting his, head coaching career, and he doesn't have a win yet. Now, he, some of the, not had the easiest of all schedules. I will say he has played Jacksonville twice. We went over this, right? He's got Georgia Tech on there. He's played Michigan State, and now he's played Tennessee. So the schedule has not exactly been simple. But you want to see it very easily. You could have, gone in the tank, right? The starters on both sides know they're not playing a whole lot in this ball game. Everyone's going to play. And, somewhere around the 12-minute mark, the second half, it's probably reserves. As the guy who was a 13th man on a 12-man JV basketball team in high school, I know those feelings. And yet, Georgia Southern wouldn't go away. All right, now as the game was going on at the beginning of the second half, it was 51-31 for about 3 minutes, and that's a lot. All right, when there's no one scoring points, and I'm covering, that's good, but Georgia Southern just would not go away. I know, you can only try so much when you're up 28 points, but the starters for Tennessee were in. And again, Georgia Southern just kept on, getting closer and getting closer and getting closer. It was, at one point, it was a 20-point ball game, 55-35. And then it expanded again to about into the 20s. In fact, maybe it got to 23, 63, 40. Not maybe it did. But then, there's 9 minutes left to go. Starters, certainly for Tennessee, are out. And all of a sudden, it gets down to a 13-point guy. Derrick Harris, I think he came off the bench for Georgia Southern. He led the team in scoring. He had 13 points, only Eagle in double digits. He hits a three, and he makes it a 13-point ball game, which obviously I'm very happy with because then it's not going to be, most likely is Tennessee going to win by, 34 points. But that's kind of what I wanted to watch and see if there was any hustle. I'm not sure what Georgia Southern is particularly good at, right? They shot 27% from the floor. They shot 25% from three. They didn't make 10 to 12 free throws. And they did create some turnovers. Tom Hart, also listening to him, and Jimmy Dykes was always a good broadcast crew. Tennessee was 14 assists and 7 turnovers in the first half, but in the second half, no, it was the opposite. It was 12 turnovers to 3 assists. Now, yeah, that's the bench, but geez, that's not great at all. And I think I also saw a stat. Georgia Southern gets about 42% of their points from threes. That's like 5th in the nation. And basically that's what happened. They scored 24 points tonight. They score, from 3, and they scored 56. So maybe not quite 42%, but in that range. But the one thing, again, that I saw from Georgia Southern is they continue to hustle. And it sounds like the minimum, but you can see that all the time. You see that all the time. A team gets a big lead, you get sloppy, and I don't want to say you give up, but you see that an effort is not put forward. So I did want to check that out. I like that I won a few bucks. Again, maybe a bottle of Maker's Mark is basically what I'm not even sure I bought that, including tax. So I did want to see them because now they're 0-10. And who's Georgia Southern got coming up? Because is this going to end anytime soon? They got UNC Wilmington, Florida Gulf Coast, and then they got a week and a half off for the holidays. They got Southern Miss December 30th, and then Charlie Henry is playing Brian Hodgson from Arkansas State, the 2 Alabama assistants who got head coaching jobs on January 4th. So it doesn't appear it's going to get any easier anytime soon. We certainly hope that they pick up a win. Important to do so, get off the schneid. But the players haven't packed it in yet. They're going all out. And, of course, when you get the reserves in there, and they played a healthy amount of guys. A couple of guys came off the bench late. Tom Hart talked about Malik Tidwell, who's gone to 5 different colleges in 5 years. But Tidwell and Jones only played 6 and 3 minutes respectively. But he still had 9 guys play double digits in minutes. All right. We'll figure out what Georgia Southern does well because, again, they got outscored in the first half 49-21. But then they beat Tennessee by 10, 35-25 in the second half. All right. And again, you get it under the 4-minute mark. And obviously the back of the bench is on the court for Tennessee. I understand that. But if there is #always a bright side, when you're 0-10, the kids keep on trying. And that's good to see, right? Can you take one good half and maybe you could take the whole good half, but even it's just half of the half and build on something. Maybe they can get something going there before they take a break. What do we say? Florida Gulf Coast and UNC Wilmington on the 16th, and then Florida Gulf Coast on the 19th. All right, we'll see. Both those games are at home. In fact, they don't hit the road until they play Arkansas State. They open up Sunbelt play at home against Southern Miss on the 30th. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll preview the New Orleans Bowl. You got the Ragin' Cajuns versus Jacksonville State. That's coming up on Saturday in the Dome, and we will be down there for that. Let me tell you about FanDuel. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Friend of mine wanted me to go in on the Paul George assist numbers against Sacramento. The problem was it was a heavy favorite, like minus 195 to get 4 assists. That's not That's not good. That's bad odds. I mean, I got to put up $195 to win 100. You want it the other way. But there is a lot you can do on that, and we're trying to find different ways to do a little bit. All right, I'm sitting here telling you I took 0-9 Georgia Southern. It wasn't even a full bottle of any kind of good bourbon. So just a little bit of fun and kind of feel good about yourself when you bet on a 0-9 team and then they cover against a pretty good SEC power. All right, let's talk Ragin Cajuns and Jax State. This ball game is coming up on Saturday. It is 1:15 Central Time. And for those who don't know, Jacksonville State was in the same boat as JMU. I think they're in their first year of FBS competition, and they got into a bowl because not enough schools qualified, just like JMU. Jacksonville State's 8-4, and the Cajuns are 6-6. This is Rich Rod. If you don't know, this is Rich Rodriguez, right? He I'm going to turn Alabama down and take the Michigan job. Whoops. In fact, right, that was the first choice instead of Nick Saban. Anyway, they like to run the football. Cajuns like to run the football as they're on their third quarterback, but they very much like to run the football. And we'll see if the Cajuns can stop them, right? The Cajuns had issues stopping Arkansas State, had issues stopping Southern Miss, had issues stopping... They did a good job against ULM. Let's see who the quarterback is for. I got it here. Thought it was going to be here. Hold on. So, again, Jacksonville State likes to run the football. I guess they say they play with tempo. Let me do this differently. And it'll be interesting. This is their first bowl game, so they're going to be excited where this is old hat for the Cajuns. All right, this would be better, I guess. So Zion Webb, he's only passed for 1,280 yards, but he's rushed for 638 yards. Does have 7 rushing touchdowns. Doesn't throw a whole lot of touchdowns. Will throw interceptions. 5 rushing touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Okay, so this is the perfect kind of matchup that befuddled the Cajuns, okay? Having not watched Jacksonville State, but know they can play some football because they did a good job of covering the spread this year. This is the issue that the Cajuns had against Arkansas State and against Southern Miss, all right? Forced the quarterback to make the plays. And they didn't. They allowed the running games to take control. Jalen Raynor's pretty good. He wasn't that good against the Cajuns. Running-wise, he was. All right, they did not tackle on some easy passing completions. And Southern Miss, was it Ethan Crawford? Now, he did lead him down to a tying score. I get it, to force overtime, but it should never have been that case. Sell out on the run. All right? You don't have to worry about windy conditions or anything like that. We're playing in a dome. Sell out on the run and force the quarterback to either run. You got to make sure you're going to stop the quarterback. You got to have a spy probably and see if they can run it down your throat. All right? Malik Jackson leads the team in rushing with 860 yards. He's got 7 touchdowns on the ground. Anwar Lewis, 443 yards. He's got 3 touchdowns. Logan Smothers, well, he's another quarterback. So they got a 2-quarterback system. He's got 6 touchdowns. Logan Smothers, passing-wise, 655, 6 touchdowns in the air, 3 interceptions. So they will turn it over, all right? Again, this has been a problem for the Cajuns, not playing to the other team's weaknesses. All right. If they throw, I mean, these two guys are averaging, Zion Webb averages 50% completion. Logan Smothers is 55.5. Make them do it. See if they can do it. All right. Logan Smothers' long is 37 yards. Zion Webb's got a nice 63-yard pass. Let them throw it over your head. See if they can do it more than once. See if they can do it more than twice. That's what I would do. I'm going to put a bunch of guys in the box, and I'm going to spy on the quarterback, and I'm going to see if Jacksonville State can run it down my throat. That's what I'm going to find out. Because the other times that the Cajuns had that chance to stop them, they did not. All right. Sell out on the run and, put the corners, one-on-one coverage if you want, and see what happens. All right. Now, I haven't watched Jacksonville State. If they spread things out, that's going to be difficult, but put an extra guy in the box, at least, to stop the running game. Let's see if these guys, and here's the big thing for the Cajuns, they got to tackle. They got to come up and make the tackle, right? You can't stop everything, right? You have to give a little bit of space. You don't want them to just go, make one move and go by you, and then, then they're wide open for 20 yards. No. So you got to give them a little bit of space, but you got to come up, and when it's a 3-yard gain, when it's a 5-yard gain, when it's a 7-yard gain, you got to come up there and make a tackle compared to, not and seeing him go for 15 or seeing him go for 20 or worse, right? Now, I know they're trying to, but you got to make the tackle. Cajuns could win this ball game. They're actually the underdog in this game. The problem is, right, Kendrick Gant is in the transfer portal. I haven't seen where he is committed yet, but he got an offer from Houston. So he got an offer from Willie Fritz in Houston, so you can't blame him whatsoever. So I'm going to take the Cajuns in this one. All right. I'll come back and tell you if they followed the game plan, which they should have. All right. If they can't stop the run and they're playing a 3-man front, then shame on them. All right. Let's play a 4 or 5-man front or play an extra guy in the box and have a spy on the quarterbacks because they'll run. All right. And there's nothing worse than, getting stops on 1st and 2nd down and the quarterback running for 8 to 9 yards for a first down. All right. So you got to do that. You got to defend right. You got to defend them correctly and see if they can pass the ball. All right. Now, if they come out and they go, the two quarterbacks combine for 20 of 30 for 250 yards or something like that and a couple of touchdowns and no interceptions, good on them. Then they played well. All right. But they haven't done that very much this year. So test them. Let's see if we get a Zion Webb game by game. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. We'll start most recently. They did lose to New Mexico State, who was pretty good. Actually went 17 to 30 for 248 yards and threw 2 interceptions. All right. Before that, against La Tech, in a game they won 56-17. In a game they won because he rushed 10 times for 122 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was 6 of 17 for 106 yards. They did lose to South Carolina. All right, but that's South Carolina. He's 12 of 23 for 183 yards, 2 touchdowns and interception. Actually, not too bad. Rushed 16 times for 65 yards. Against FIU, they won 41-16. He's 9 of 19. Now he rushed 20 times for 125 yards. You got to stop the quarterback from rushing. All right, you gotta make the tackles. All right, against Western Kentucky in a 2017 victory, he rushed 28 times for 146 yards. Also 22 of 39 for 218 in the air. Now, again, you got to stop the run. All right. Sell out, stop the run, try to force them to make the pass. And maybe you'll find out, it could be 3rd and 8, and they're going to run a sweep or an option. So we will find out. I'm going to take the Cajuns. Give me the points. It's like 3.5. I'll take the Cajuns. We may even do a little money line on that one. All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, Southern Miss brings in a new defensive coordinator. When we come back, I'll tell you about that. Let me tell you about LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Still basking in the glow of the Georgia Southern, 74-56 loss, but covering the 33.5 points. All right, meanwhile, Southern Miss with the Fighting Will Halls last week they hired Chip Long as their offensive coordinator, former teammate of Will Hall at North Alabama. But on Tuesday, they did announce that they are bringing in Clay Bignell. Bignell, according to our buddy Scott Watkins in the Sun Herald, Bignell heads over to Hattiesburg after being in the same role as FCS Eastern Illinois. The Eastern Illinois Panthers were 6th nationally in forced turnovers and number 18 in scoring defense. In his first coordinator role, Bignell's defense helped lead EIU to its best record since 2013. He was an analyst on the 2018 Notre Dame team that reached the college football playoffs. By the way, Chip Long was the offensive coordinator at that point in time. All right, so in Southern Miss, the defense was last in the Sun Belt in scoring. So he's got his work cut out for him for the Fighting Will Halls. And again, when the dust clears, and who knows what it's going to be like come next year, quarterback-wise, we saw Texas State had a presser on, I think it was on Tuesday, that TJ Finley says, he's going to play in the bowl game, right? That Texas State fans deserve that 8th win. So he's going to play in the bowl game, but doesn't know if he's going to go pro or come back or transfer. But he is playing in the bowl game. So who knows who's going to be where, right? I mean, at this time last week, I thought John Summerall was still going to be at Troy. Things happen fast. So we'll see where Troy goes. South Alabama's coming back. They're going to have a new quarterback. LaDainian Webb is leaving. Running back is going pro. He could have come back. So that's going to be up in the air, right? I mean, I presume the Cajuns are going to be, probably pretty highly looked at. Arkansas State with Jalen Rayner, right? And if TJ Finley comes back, Texas State is going to be highly regarded. So we'll see if there's any turnover from the Troy situation. And we'll see what a guy Bryant Vincent does with ULM. Just because they were not so great doesn't mean they can't get a couple of wins and knock some teams off. So we'll see. But Clay Bignell is your defensive coordinator for Southern Miss. They needed help on that side of the ball. And they actually did pretty good when Will Hall fired himself as offensive coordinator. Came right in here and, against the Ragin' Cajuns and beat them in overtime. It was a short week. That was the short week. That was the week after Zion Chris was hurt and Chandler Fields came in. And probably should mention, Chandler Fields has gotten better each and every week. And now that he's had another extra week to practice, it'll be interesting to see what they do in the Dome. And by the way, this is where Mike Desimo came in, right? If you want to go back 2 years, this is where the Mike Desimo era started after a Sun Belt Championship victory and heading into the bowl game. So that's where we are. And he admitted, interestingly, that he knew it was going to be a tough couple of years because of all the people that were leaving. And it was going to take a little bit of time to refill those coffers, meaning the players. And now that they got the stadium under construction, you can bring guys in, right? And they're going to play, they'll play in their second year. Now, if you only got 1 year left in the portal, that'll be a thing. And they got a couple of guys in the portal this week. I think both from Power 5 teams. So it'll be a thing for Mike Desmo. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll continue to preview bowl games. We got a couple of more on that Saturday. And, of course, still waiting to see what Troy does with their head coaching job. I believe, based on Craig Stevenson's reporting from AL.com, that's the only FBS opening right now in America. So we're waiting for Troy to make a decision. All right. All right. Thank you so much. Also, by the way, thanks to the guys over at Ragin Review and Ragin Pagin. 100 subscriptions, in the last couple of days. We're very, about a week and a half ago, I didn't think we'd get close to 1,000 before the new year. We may get 1,000 by the end of the week. So thank you so much for subscribing. It really could help out a little bit down the road. It does mean a lot. So again, please subscribe on YouTube. Find the audio podcasts wherever you find your audio podcasts, but the most popular are on Apple and Spotify. All right. And we're going to start putting those links in the description in YouTube so you can find it a little bit easier. All right. Again, thank you so much. We're going to get, I may wake up and we may be at 1,000 subscriptions by this morning. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks again for tuning in. Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day.